Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the Senate hearings that were held with Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliff. The hearing was about a group text message that the two of them were involved in with J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, and Marco Rubio. Now, the group text message was about the impending attack on the Houthis about 10 days ago by the Trump administration. And unfortunately, in this conversation, a reporter was invited into the text messaging group. His name is Jeffery Goldberg, and he's the editor-in-chief of the Atlantic magazine. So, as you can imagine, this is a sensitive conversation. They're talking about targets that they're going to hit, possibly equipment they're going to use, and all of this is being relayed to a reporter, which is a huge problem. Now, I have an article here talking about Jeffrey Goldberg and what happened. Editor-in-chief of the Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, released excerpts of the conversation among national security officials on the messaging app Signal after he was accidentally added to the group chat, exercising a right to publish that has sparked controversy among Trump administration officials. In a shocking article published Monday, Goldberg revealed that National Security Advisor Mike Waltz has inadvertently added him to the group chat on Signal, an encrypted but commercially available app, along with top national security officials to discuss a U.S. military operation against Houthi militants in Yemen. While Goldberg withheld some details, including the name of the current CIA operative and the names of the U.S. military's targets, he did include the names of those involved in the group chat and their process to prepare for the attack. His piece also included snapshots of specific exchanges. He did not release the information until after the attack on the Houthis earlier this month. I mean, thank goodness. That would have been disastrous. So as you can see, this is a terrible embarrassment for the Trump administration and for the people involved. Now let me show you another video here explaining the Houthi attack.
On your screen, he says, "Today, I have ordered the United States military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft, and drones." The statement goes on to say Joe Biden's response was pathetically weak, so the unrestrained Houthis just keep going. It has been over a year since a U.S.-flagged commercial ship safely sailed through the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, or the Gulf of Aden. The last American warship to go through the Red Sea 4 months ago was attacked by the Houthis over a dozen times. Funded by Iran, the Houthi thugs have fired missiles at U.S. aircraft and targeted our troops and allies. These relentless assaults have cost the U.S. and world economy many billions of dollars, while at the same time putting innocent lives at risk.
So this was a legitimate attack on a terrorist group that continually attacks our ships and will not let us pass through the Suez Canal. Let's move on to a Fox News report about the
Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg writing, quote, "The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans." Among those included in the group chat referenced in the article were Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliff.
So they are testifying, in fact, this morning, and we're waiting for that at 10 a.m. Eastern Time Senate Intel hearing. We expect all the lawmakers, they will not only be there, but we expect a conversation regarding this.
And loaded for bear, indeed. Yeah. So meanwhile, lawmakers are weighing in, Republicans calling it an honest mistake, and Democrats, they are a little less forgiving, as you might imagine.
I'm not a technology expert, and I don't know all the details, but somebody made a mistake, and that happens. I think most Americans understand that.
That's the type of information that we need to get at to hopefully, reassure our allies and partners that we know how to handle this type of classified information.
It's not the first time that members of the press have been on meetings or chats before, but obviously that was a problem.
Peter Doocy is at the White House this morning. Hi, Peter. Good morning.
Dana, good morning. Mike Waltz, the national security advisor, is not resigning. He's on the phone this morning with his Russian counterpart. They are trying to get to a ceasefire deal in the Black Sea. And President Trump is not, as of this morning at 9 a.m., going to fire Waltz. The president's thinking is this was a mistake. There was nothing important in the thread, and he thinks Waltz is a good guy. He also thinks, the president, that Democrats had nothing to complain about the White House until this story broke. The press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, just wrote this about the author. She said, Jeffrey Goldberg is well known for his sensationalist spin. Here are the facts about his latest story. No war plans were discussed. No classified material was sent to the thread. The White House counsel's office has provided guidance on a number of different platforms for President Trump's top officials to communicate as safely and efficiently as possible. As the National Security Council stated, the White House is looking into how Goldberg's number was inadvertently added to the thread. And the initial thinking is that his number was added to the contact card of a staffer who was supposed to be there.
I was invited a couple of weeks ago to connect with Michael Waltz, the National Security Advisor. That didn't strike me as particularly strange, given my job. On Saturday, the 15th of March, when I was shared on a text in this group from somebody purporting to be Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense. And this text contained operational military information.
And that point, the centerpiece of the story, is directly refuted by the Defense Secretary.
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
And we do expect to hear from the CIA Director John Ratcliff later on today that Signal, this commercial-free encrypted messaging app, is something that intelligence agencies rely on and that it lives on systems and servers used by the CIA, among others.
So, of course, the Trump administration and Tulsi Gabbard and everyone else involved is saying that there was nothing classified on the emails, or excuse me, the text messages. There was no harm done. But the Democrats obviously don't believe that. But that's the position of the Trump administration and everyone involved. Now, let's look at some fiery excerpts from the Senate hearing today. And this is Democrat Senator Mark Warner grilling Tulsi Gabbard.
Director Gabbard, you are the security executive and set access guidelines for classified information. Did you contact the defense secretary or others after this specific military planning was put out and say, hey, we should be doing this in a skiff?
There was no classified material that was shared in that.
So then if there was no classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security. Bobbing and weaving and trying to, filibuster your answer. So please answer the question.
One little side note, this guy is shaky as hell, and he sounds like he needs water. Sounds like he's got cotton mouth big time.
This was Director Gabbard, if this was a rank and file intelligence officer who did this kind of careless behavior, what would you do with him?
Senator, I'll reiterate that there was no classified material that was shared in that.
And if there's no classified materials, share. And then if there's no classified materials, then you can't even answer the question whether you're on the chat. This is strangely familiar, and I think my colleagues will remember, when you couldn't answer the question, is Edward Snowden a traitor? Man, I have serious doubts about anyway. Director Gabbard, I'm going to give you this. Tweeted just 11 days ago, and I'm quoting you, any unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such. So if this information is classified, what are you going to do?
Senator, 2 points here. First of all, there's a difference between inadvertent release versus
careless and sloppy,
malicious leaks of classified information. The second point is There was no classified information that was on
Then the
this
information
signal
committee
group
should get
chat.
that information. Director
And the
Patel,
National Security
Director
Council
Patel,
was
my time's
reviewing
about out,
how
and I'm
this
going to
occurred.
use my 12 seconds that the chairman gave me. Director Patel, has the FBI launched any investigation of this?
Senator, I was just briefed about it late last night, this morning. I don't have an update.
Now, while I do think that this situation is a problem, I do think that there was a huge breach by involving this reporter. But this guy is like a rabid dog to me, trying to get her on the spot. And I mean, the look on her face to me says it all. You know, this was a mistake. What can they do at this point? Try and explain it. But I mean, this guy is just unforgiving. Here's another clip of him going at it with Tulsi and John Ratcliff.
I'm going to go back to what I addressed at the outset. I mean, this was not only sloppy, it not only violated all procedures, but if this information had gotten out, American lives could have been lost. The Houthis had this information, could reposition their defensive systems. So I want to get a little more information about this. Director Gabbard, did you participate in the group chat with Secretary of Defense and other Trump senior officials discussing the Yemen war plans?
Senator, I don't want to get into the specifics.
Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address. So you're not, are you denying, Matt, will you answer my question, ma'am? You were not TG on this group chat?
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you
of
refuse
the
to acknowledge whether you were on this group chat?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Why are you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security
Because
Council.
it's all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
Sorry, I need to jump in again. I mean, I do think that he has a point. Obviously, classified information was passed through this text messaging group, and he does have a point. If there was nothing classified, then why don't they show everybody what was said? Let's continue.
As the White House previously
Is it classified or non-classified information on this text?
I can confirm.
Director Ratcliff, were you on the group chat?
Senator, I was on a signal messaging group.
So you were the John Ratcliff on that chat?
I was.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's very desperate for an I got you moment. I think, you know, maybe that's why he's so dry mouth. I have no idea, but he needs a drink of something. But he's just very much wanting to pin them down, get them on an I got you, make the Trump administration look as bad as possible. And, you know, I guess that's his job. Here's the last Senate hearing piece that I wanted to show you with another senator, Senator Ossoff.
And they were discussing the timing of sending U.S. air crews into enemy airspace where they faced an air defense threat, correct?
I'm going to, Senator, defer to the other principles that you're referring
Director
to
Ratcliff.
about what the meaning and the context of
They're
what
talking
they were
about the
auditing.
timing of U.S. airstrikes, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and therefore the timing of sending U.S. air crews into hostile airspace, correct?
Yes.
And therefore the time period during which enemy air defenses could target U.S. air crews flying in enemy airspace, correct?
I don't know that.
You do know that. Let me ask this question, General Hawk. You lead America's signals intelligence collection. Would the private deliberation of foreign senior officials about the wisdom and timing of potential military action be a collection priority for you and the U.S. intelligence community?
Senator, it's our job to do indications and warning for both the plans and intentions of adversary leaders and for military commanders.
And would not information about the timing of airstrikes allow a military to pre-position or cue air defense systems to shoot down enemy aircraft?
I think, Senator, from our perspective, any advance warning is something that we certainly are trying to protect.
Director Ratcliff, this was a huge mistake, correct?
No.
A national political...
Hold on.
No, you
Let me
hold
answer.
on. No,
The
Director
answer- the
Ratcliff,
reason
I
I
asked you
say
a yes
no-
or no question, and now you'll hold on. A national political reporter
You can characterize it how you want.
was made privy
The White
to
House has
sensitive
made
information
clear
about
that there
imminent
was an
military
inadvertent
operations against a
mistake,
foreign terrorist
an inadvertent
organization.
mistake of adding a reporter.
And that wasn't a huge
to a
mistake?
seal.
That wasn't a huge mistake?
Well, I think they characterize
This is
it
an
as a
embarrassment.
mistake.
This is utterly unprofessional. There's been no apology. There has been no recognition of the gravity of this error. And by the way, we will get the full transcript of this chain, and your testimony will be measured carefully against its content. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And
Now, I do think that this was a mistake. It was unfortunate that a reporter was added into this group text concerning highly sensitive material, highly sensitive information about an impending attack on a terrorist group. Definitely things could have gone wrong. The guy could have not used good judgment and put out information about it before the attack. Thank goodness he didn't do that. But I do think that it is an embarrassment to the Trump administration, but I also think that it was an accident. There was nothing malicious behind it. Obviously, they did not want a reporter in their message, in their group text, reading everything that they were saying about this attack. But it happened. Hopefully, they will learn from it. Hopefully, they will use other avenues to group text message between, themselves and talking about highly sensitive material. And hopefully, a reporter will never be invited into the conversation again. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, do you think this is just the biggest blunder in the world by the Trump administration? Are his appointees incompetent, or is it just, an absolute mistake that should never happen again? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I really value your opinions about it, and I appreciate you joining the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.